I am super excited about this.
This episode addresses why fly with a helmet.
If I wouldn't have had a helmet on, I know I wouldn't have come back to my family that day. So after that, I became a firm believer in the helmet.
That was a hard call to make, man. But nope.
And also one of the hardest aeronautical decisions a pilot faces.
So I just made the very difficult decision to scrub a flight after the run-up.
This might have been my last flight in this airplane for a long time.
But a few days later, and slightly rustier, I did get to do that flight.
We're definitely doing one more. Definitely doing one more for that screw up.
Today was tough because it was 9 knots gusting 20 and variable 170 to like 230, and I was trying to use runway 25. So what are you going to end up with on the rollout? I don't know, but that's a lot of variation, and it does definitely cross into the limits that I don't want to deal with. So scrubbed. It's beautiful, and it's so easy to convince yourself to just go for it, but there's a reason why there's limits. We have operational limits here that line up nicely with a good set of personal minimums.
So spring of 2020 has been pretty weird, and I'm pushing up against my 60-day currency.
So we have a canopy on the airplane. This is my first time at the hangar in 6 weeks. We've been pretty much on lockdown in Ontario. That's the province we're in here in Canada.
We're building a Vans aircraft RV-14 here at the Canadian Historical Aircraft Association, where I'm also a pilot member. The day this package arrived, I was actually at the hangar to build, not to fly, but that's just as well because I wanted to get it fitted properly first.
So awesome. Love this bag, man. This is like military grade stuff. Jeremy at TacAero was very passionate about trying to get more pilots to wear helmets. And he's got me a custom flight chops. Canadian TacAero. All right, man. Well, cool. Thanks for jumping in on the remote helmet fitting. Can't be together right now.
Yeah, no worries.
So I am going to be helping to tell the story, trying to get more pilots to wear helmets when they fly airplanes like this, or just any tailwheel, really anything where there's a chance you could hit your head, even in turbulence. The wind. Okay, this is what to say about that. First off, let's talk in general. Like, I really appreciate that you got me on board to be a helmet-wearing warbird guy. It does feel like riding a motorcycle without a helmet on the highway when I fly the Harvard, which is awesome and scary.
Right.
I mean, would you ride a motorcycle on the highway? I guess some states you do that, but here it's like it would just be insane to consider that.
I grew up flying J3s and never wore a helmet, let alone a headset. You go to ski slopes and everybody's wearing helmets now too. It's just, it's not a bad idea.
Winds radius information, India, weather 1800, wind 210 at 9, gust 17, visibility 9 miles, 14,000 broken, temperature 14, dew point 3, altimeter 3014.
So no doubt I'm facing some urgency to get this flight done and captured some pretty interesting real-time decision making.
It'll be Golf Foxtrot, cross 30, Hotel India, contact tower holding short of 25 for Foxtrot, Victor India Juliet, and I can't get the winds one more time.
Winds 200 at 13, gust 20.
Oh, there's some good winds. Gusting. That's right on the limit. Right on the limit for the crosswind this airplane.
I guess give me your like casual version of the letter that you included in the helmet box, because I felt like that was such a great sort of, you're not selling, you're truly authentically selling the concept of wearing helmets. You know, you're not trying to sell your particular helmet. You're just saying wear a helmet.
Right. Yeah. That's the big thing is just that is we don't care what brand you wear or what kind. It could be a motorcycle helmet like we were talking about before that you've adapted with Clarity Aloft or something like that you can put in, and where there's lots of options out there that people can do and use for some sort of protection. And that's what we're really promoting is safety in the backcountry, safety in flying in general. How do you mitigate risk? And a helmet's a great way to do that.
Gonna be a left crosswind today. Pretty good one.
The forecast leading up to this indicated that today was likely the only flyable window, but I was still facing a crosswind regardless of my runway choice.
Yeah, so I guess tell me real quick the story of just turbulence. Like, was it in that airplane or an airplane like that where the crossbar?
No, it was in an X Cub. I was coming back from California and the fires were really bad, so the smoke was nasty. and was talking to Redding, decided to go south side of Mount Shasta to kind of go around the smoke. And there was an opening there. I was just excited to get to an opening of clean air, not even thinking about what was going on to create that clean air. So I got into that clean air and immediately hit some pretty nasty rotors coming off of Shasta. And it threw my head up into the bar, up into the headset hook holder they have on the X Cub, like where the cross beams are at. That hook went through the helmet. And I had my seatbelt on pretty tight, but I got hit pretty hard and it put me inverted, and then pulled out and then got hit again. And I got pretty close to the ground at that point. And then I was dealing with DA and dealing with graying out, and my head was ringing and my back was just killing me. If I would have had the helmet on, I would have punched my ticket that day. So after that, I became a firm believer in the helmet. And it kind of did a number on that X Cub, that turbulence too. It really put it through its paces, and the airplane held up great, but it took a beating too. Blew out the top wind, like the skylight got blown out of the top of it. Flew back home, ended up rupturing 2 discs, and it was a big mess. But if I wouldn't have had a helmet on, I know I wouldn't have come back to my family that day. After that, I kind of made it mandatory for all of our guys within the company to start wearing helmets when they're doing all their flight training and when we're doing any of our off-airport stuff. And I've been just a big promoter of it ever since.
Wow, I can feel the weather painting in the room. And Tower, it's Victor and Juliet holding short of 25 at India. Just want to check the winds one more time. Feeling pretty strong out here.
Juliet, Windsor Tower, roger. The winds are being steady, 210 at 15, gust 20.
All right, thanks. I'm going to scrub Victor and Juliet. Can I get taxi instructions back?
And I could feel it. I knew in my gut the winds were higher than forecast. Sure enough, Tower confirmed it, and ForeFlight wouldn't because they were variable. So that's kind of funny is ForeFlight's like, nah, I'm not giving you a number to make your decision on right now. They're so variable that when I went and checked that quick calculation in ForeFlight that gives you that handy dandy wind info, it said variable, wouldn't give it to me. So I just did the calculation real quick in my head, and I knew the crosswind component was going to be higher than 12 if it gusted especially. So I had to call it.
That was a hard call to make, man, but nope. Run up complete. This might have been my last flight in this airplane for a long time. Had to scrub.
So let's talk about fitting. So this pretty sexy custom job. Really appreciate that you did that.
Yeah, it turned out sweet. A lot of the guys here did not want to send that off to you. They're like, oh, that yellow's perfect.
Yeah, it matches so nice. I got a shot of it on the wing of the Harvard the day it came in. So it really is pretty much the same color. So
yeah, it turned out
it's going to look great. So you guys send it with, I'll just show the camera that's rolling, these various sized adapters for the ear cups.
So you have all these different, you got a thin one, you got a thick one, then you got even a thicker one that's out there. But, adjusting those just the right way is really critical to making sure that ear is seating on that headset. It's really important to do that and get it so that it's fitting right. You don't want it sitting there pushing against your ear and then you have a headache.
Yeah.
So spend the time getting that perfect. And a lot of times by just having the Velcro barely seated on there, when you have it on your headset, on your head, and then being able to reach up in there and kind of move the headset around and then push on your head, and that usually allows you to seat that cup where it needs to be. And when you pull it off, you might be surprised that the cups are they're not even straight up and down. They shouldn't be, because your head's not like that. Your ears aren't like that. So try to, when putting the helmet together, look at it and try to make it all symmetrical, because it's just going to be more work for you in the end.
Just do it how it's comfortable. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, what's cool is the helmet is more variable than a headset, because you can adjust those ear cups in ways you can't with a headset.
Yeah.
This is actually probably my last flight in a long time in the airplane, because it's about to go offline for its annual. And then who knows when it's going to come back online, because it's not really worth operating Warbirds possibly this summer.
Ugh, that is so hard to do, man, when you're ready to go. Run them complete on a beautiful sunny day. But we have a 12 knot direct crosswind component limit in this airplane. And when it's variable like it is today, gusting up to 20, can't do it. Because even what the ATIS is calling it is pushing it. But what Tower just gave me based on the actual reading combined with what I'm feeling and looking at that windsock, I don't want to ground loop this thing. Yeah, like it's taking full left aileron just a taxi straight with my crosswind and butts in here. This would have been my landing roll right here. And going this slow, it's taking a fair bit of rudder to keep it straight.
And it's hard to say what it was today, because it was so variable in degrees, gusting between 9 and 20.
and between like 170 and 230, and I was trying to use runway 25. The other option would have been runway 12, but that still wouldn't have been much different. It would have been a similar crosswind, so scrubbed.
Ground, it's Victor and Juliet. I'm already across 30 right here. Do you mind if I just stop, take a picture of the windsock on Foxtrot?
Victor and Juliet, winds of tower,
Thank you. Yeah, that's pretty much a direct crosswind. Wow, there it goes, swinging to almost a tailwind. There we go. That's the kind of gust I would not want right there when I'm landing. That's a solid 15, gusting to a tailwind. No thanks.
And then for the forehead and back, you got this liner. So I've kind of got it set, I don't know if you can see on this camera, just so the pad is just passing this bumper. Is that kind of how you want it, or do you want that inset deeper in the helmet?
You want that almost flush with that bumper. The whole idea is that you want that pad to protect you from any hard surface on the helmet. You don't want the helmet to hurt you. You know, the whole idea is to have it to protect. So have it just a little bit over that bumper is how we like to set that up. And then in the very back, you have so much protection. So you're not worried much about back there because you have your back strap to adjust with the foam on it as well. And that's not really where the danger happens. It's all side and face and top impacts what you're worried about in an airplane crash.
As luck would have it, on day 60, the weather was flyable, so I got to the airport.
Windsor Tower, it's Foxtrot Victor Indy Juliet holding short 30 at Delta, ready to go for the circuit.
Foxtrot Victor Indy Juliet, Windsor Tower, left-hand circuit, wind 310 at 9, clear takeoff, runway 30.
Clear takeoff 30, Victor Indy Juliet for left-hand circuit.
Okay, so I've got it ballparked, so I'll get it on now and I'll describe how it's feeling. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, perfect.
So I'll know it's fitting right if I put the visor down and it's right where it's not touching my nose, but it's also not like that.
Correct. Yep.
Right? So
Yep.
that's feeling about right there. And then if I do it up, I guess, because that'll really squeeze to make sure it's the right. Like, do you want this strap to squeeze a little bit, or?
Yeah, you want it to be comfortable. That's the big part of it. If it's not comfortable, what ends up happening is people don't wear their helmets.
The true test is at takeoff power in this thing. It's loud, but the helmet sounded great.
Power set. The presses are good. Airspeed's live.
And despite it having been 60 days, this flight went fairly well, but I did make a pretty big mistake, which will be a future debrief episode.
Man, this thing loves to fly. It's coming up.
This whole chin strap down here, getting that super tight, not critical. Like you just, that's more to keep the helmet on your head. So if you got it to where it's uncomfortable and it's choking you, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, so once you get it on like that, one of the things, it's the same trick that you do in everything, right? Even with ski helmets and other bike helmets, is kind of moving your head back and forth and seeing if you've got a lot of slop. If you've got slop when you do that, then you need to tighten something else up on the inside. The strap really is just to keep the helmet onto your head.
Here's a transit. One pin. 2 pins. Fingers, pins, and lights. Gears down.
So with that top pad, a lot of guys where they go wrong is when they're fitting it is they'll just kind of leave the pad where it's at. They try to adjust just the ear cups. And a lot of times you just need to bring the helmet either further off your head or closer to your top of your crown of your head. And so you adjust that with this pad thing here, and inside you have all these different layers. So by adjusting those layers, and sometimes adjusting these layers could also mean you go through and you find it and you peel off a piece there because you're feeling pressure on the back. So you can sit there and you adjust that helmet to where the hot spots are on your head until it fits perfectly.
Okay, so I do feel a bit of a forehead hot spot, I think.
Perfect. So then go through and you would take one of these top pieces and you'd peel off one of these front pieces on there.
So I'm going to rip this whole thing right out, this liner?
Yep, pull the whole liner out. Yep, it just is Velcroed on there.
Okay, so I'm looking at this.
Right.
So I open this up.
From the top of it, you'll have your top piece of Velcro right there, right?
Yeah.
You take that piece off, and you're just going to kind of peel the foam out of it like this. That next piece, you're going to take that, and you're just going to go through and you're going to rip that off. That first little panel piece. And you can make it cleaner with scissors if you wanted to.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that's probably right there is all I need just to take one of those out, I think, eh?
I bet it will be. And then as you're going back and putting it back in, The thing to do is to go through and put each layer in one at a time now as you're sticking it back into that cover, right? Just to make sure it doesn't like wrinkle up or get bound up inside of there and then cause a hot spot on your head.
And Windsor Towers, Victory Juliet, left downwind 30 for the option.
Victory Juliet Towers, clear for the option, runway 30.
Clear for the option, 30, Victory Juliet. A little tiny bit of a hot spot at the back, but not bad. Otherwise, like the helmet has been transparent. Sweet. Yeah, it's gonna stay where it is. Undercarriage is down, mixture is rich. Prop is gonna go full fine.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how could it be one size fits all like the way they market it, but that's because it's so custom.
Yeah, you need to, and it's going to take a couple of flights. You're going to go through and go, oh man, my left ear was kind of aching afterwards. Well, maybe I need to adjust it up 1/4 of an inch.
Okay, so I got that back together without any binding. Okay, and then just see what happens. Yeah, that took that hot spot away.
Good. There's some guys, once they get that foam all figured out, they'll go and get a piece of memory foam. Or like, Oregon Aero makes a headliner. A lot of guys know about the Oregon Aero helmet headliner. It's all about comfort. Chasing comfort on the helmet, to me, is really important because it makes you want to wear it more often.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you want that to be as transparent as possible.
That was a plopper, but I'll take it.
Those airplanes, nothing about them is made to hit. Literally, like the minimal engineering required to make it what it was. There was zero thought to the bag of meat that was going to be riding in it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just metal, jagged, hard.
Yeah, training. It's a tool.
Yeah. So awesome, man. Okay, so I think, this will be a question of just tweaking based on what you showed me once I fly with it.
Yeah, tweak that. And that rear adjustment's really important, right? So that rear adjustment back there, if it's just flopping on the back of your head, it's not doing anything. So you want to get it to where, and the reason why it's got that Velcro on there is a lot of guys like to loosen that up when they take it off and then put it back on and kind of tighten it up. I've got mine set to where it just goes on now and fits perfectly, and I don't have to worry about it. It's inevitable that during the summertime when it's hot out, that helmet, you don't want to wear a helmet. It's hot, sweaty, and I found that opening that up when I'm flying, it cools the helmet a lot better too. And then you're just kind of loosening it up and then putting it back on. Just
almost like a pre-landing check, just retighten the helmet.
You just got to make sure you put it back on, yeah.
And now we're wearing the helmet. Comfy, not bad. First flight with the helmet.
You know what? One thing really good about this helmet is it fixed your hairdo, Steve. I mean, that helps a lot right off the bat.
My hair is hurting right now. I can't get the barber visits done with this coronavirus. It was invisible, transparent, didn't even think about it. Just sounded great, felt great. What a difference.
So I have my one that I wear for my biplanes and stuff. Those New Zealand ones.
Yeah,
super. Awesome. They're really cool. They're not very comfortable. I mean, this thing weighs probably twice as much as that Bonehead helmet. They're neat because it's one of those things where you're like, I got to have one of those because I'm flying a Waco or whatever. And you'll see guys like, New Zealand guys are wearing these with the Spitfires and everything, but man, they're so cool looking, but they're not very comfortable helmets. But it's a helmet, and I wear it just to fit the part and also to be safe. We've got these helmets in stock now. It's nice to have them ready to go where people can churn and burn and have them right away. All of our helmets, they come in one color. They're this flat black carbon fiber with the logos on them, and they got the flag and a survival course guy on there. And then you guys can customize them unless, they're super special like Flight Shop. They don't get their own color.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That's really awesome doing the special edition there for the Flight Shop's Warbird helmet. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I like the way the logo turned out on the side too. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
That whole thing's pretty good. Wear it.
Yeah, I think I made the right call. But man, does it suck to make that call.
And then getting back, I actually saw that it was, in fact, significantly higher gust factor when ATIS happened to report a stable number, and then ForeFlight did do the math. So, assuming a gust, it would have been crazy.
Yeah, that's brutal. And a couple parked airliners, because that's the world we're in right now.
All right, next up, we are getting back to the Alaska float flying series. And if you missed the last build vlog and you're interested in a really awesome toolkit giveaway, We've got over $2,500 in that one, so get on that. It's going to be running for the rest of this month. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I think whatever you fly, any pilot can relate to that challenge of making a go, no-go decision, especially when it's a beautiful day. I was legitimately gutted when I had to make this decision, but I think at the end of the day, it turned out to be more compelling content, and I hope it helps you guys keep your flight shop sharp and make the right decision when you're faced with it.
That sucks.